Hey, everybody. Today is the day that the Lord has made, I guess. Yes. But today is also double eviction day in the Big Brother house. And are you as nervous as I am? Oh my God. It's going to be an exciting, stressful night. Oh my goodness. Who will win the HOH? Who will be put on the block? Who will win the veto? Who will go home? Aside from Claire going home on the first one, but because so let's start back. Let's go back. Last night's primetime episode was a power veto competition, and for those who are not casuals and watch the feeds, we already knew days ago that Alyssa won the power veto. We just didn't know how she won. We knew it was a mini challenge, but we didn't know what kind of mini challenge. So basically it was a stacking of little bitty mini cocktails, and that was a very stressful competition, and because everybody collapsed at least 3 or 4 times before Alyssa eventually succeeded and won. So, but we all know people who watch the feeds that Xavier has been fuming all week that Tiffany won the HOH and was being selfish in his mind, whereas he's been selfish too. But moving on to all of this, everybody was suspecting that she's so disloyal, she's so rogue, she might just put up one of the cookouts instead of putting up Claire, because Claire is her number 2 in the house and her best friend in the house. However, Tiffany unfortunately is loyal, because this may have been the end to her game by putting up Claire. She put up Claire. She and Claire, we already discussed it, had a little crying session. It was kind of emotional. People were in their feelings too, because people like Claire. Anyhow, moving on to last night after the show on the feeds, a lot was going on. Claire trying to have a final pitch with Azza, but nobody can penetrate Azza, because Azza is stuck on stupid being Xavier. Azza is fine with being number 3 to Xavier. Claire even has a discussion with Tiffany, I wish I could shake Azza. And I've been thinking that too. If someone could just shake her to get her to see it. But I just don't think Azza came in the house with the intentions of winning $750,000, although they thought it was $500. But I don't think she came in the house with the intention of winning. I've said it many times before. I believe Azza is in this game to get discovered. And by those BB song soundtracks, it's not going to happen, Azza. And let's be honest. No one has really been discovered from Big Brother. Jeff had a few hosting gigs, and Frankie Bravo was Ariana Bravo. Frankie Grande was Ariana Grande is her brother, so he's had some success outside, but you don't see Big Brother stars doing anything big. You might build up your Instagram following, become more of an influencer. Maybe you could start doing cooking shows on YouTube, Azza. I don't know, with your bouillon cubes, but Azza's head is not in this game. Azza's head, she wants a boy, and she said it from the beginning, she gets boy crazy. But she's fighting a battle she cannot win. He will never love you. Move on. And if anything, he's working against you. All the guys, she said, Big D, she was talking to camera. Big D says I'm his best friend. So I have a best friend in Big D. Big D is ready to get rid of you, Azza. And he's not even playing the game. He thinks he's playing a game. He is big delusional. Everybody says it. Big D thinks this was all his plan. He even said, when you go out, you tell them, I need somebody to tell, the people in jury, it was all Big D's plan. And, what did you do? You haven't strategized once. You just made an agreement like everybody else. Like Tiffany said, when you came into this house and you saw all these black people, didn't you think we got to work together? That's just obvious. It may not be obvious for, say, Hannah, perhaps. Although Hannah saw it, because Hannah, though she grew up in Naperville, Illinois, she reps Chicago, and so she knows a little bit of something. A little something about blackness. If anything, she learned it from this whole Black Lives Matter movement. But that's a whole nother story. So, in the house overnight, it was a bunch of, trying last-ditch efforts, which I think is just for content for the show, to make it seem like we might flip it. And then, you have Alyssa, who thinks she has spearheaded this whole thing. And that's what I'll get to that in a minute. But so around like 11 o'clock my time, like 9 o'clock in the house, Tiffany and Hannah are in the room. They're constantly trying to figure out what does Xavier do, because he's clearly not a bartender. He might model on the side, but he's clearly not a bartender. His stories just don't add up, and he's so tight-lipped and closed. Like, he does not let anybody in. He's so private. He doesn't let anybody know anything about him. Hence why he was angry, they said, visibly angry at that dating game with Azza, because he thought it was going to be like a joke and he could be like Claire and just joke around. And this is for people who might not have seen my video or might not have seen the feeds. They did a little dating game episode and with the three contestants, Claire, Xavier, and Kylan. So they were asking real questions like, what would you do? Like, what would a first date be? What's your purpose? What's most important to you? That sort of thing for Azza. And so he didn't like that, because he had to give real answers to Azza, which, one, I think got her hopes up, and two, I think he thought it would open him up to people figuring out that he's a lawyer. And at this point in the game, who cares if you're a lawyer, Xavier? Like, the funny thing is, everybody is pretty accomplished and everybody's lying about who they are. Azza has come clean on who she is. Like, she's in sales for a tech company or something, but she originally told them she worked at hotels. So anyhow, like, Tiffany and Hannah just like playing this little game on, like, they just like really, like, I think they're so bored in the house that they're drawing all these conclusions and coming up with all these theories. So the latest theory is, I think, and I actually said I'm not going to watch the rest of this. They can go on all night, because it's like they keep getting hot. You're hot. You're hot. Then they get so cold, cold, cold. You almost got to it. Like, I think he's in law enforcement or something. There's a big gap from age 17 to 24 with Xavier, Tiffany says. I'm thinking something, but I'm not going to tell you until I know it. I don't know that I really know, so I'm not going to say it. And Hannah's like, I'm thinking something too. I don't know if they ever said what they were thinking, because I shut it down like 30 minutes in, because it's like, after a while, things just keep going back and forth. Like, it keeps going on and on. And so basically they were like, Xavier, you said your stuff is in storage in Milwaukee and you're going back to Kalamazoo, but you need your job. And their whole thing is like, there are bars everywhere. Why do you need to work as a bartender in Chicago? So then I woke up in the middle of the night and I said, I went online just to see specifically where was Kylan sleeping. However, the feeds did not show Kylan at all. So I don't know where Kylan was. They didn't show Tiffany's HOH. I think it was like they were in one of the rooms where multiple people were sleeping. I think Claire was on the sofa or something. I don't know. But I didn't see where Kylan slept last night. However, so then I go to the next screen or frame, and it was Azza and Hannah in the bathroom talking about the same thing. Like, how old is X? Like, they really don't think he's 27 or 28. They think he's older because of his demeanor. He's so like controlled, and he's so like, really what they're saying is he's just too boring to be 27. He's too rigid. He's very rigid. Like, he thinks he's goofy. He does these little goofy antics, but he's really rigid and controlled. Like, and I think that makes him think he's older. Although Azza said, nah, he, out of him and Kylan, I think Kylan is 30, and Xavier does some things that make me think he's 28. Although the funny thing is, Azza's 30, she acts like she's 22. With aside from her, like, her travels, her life travel stories, and her random facts that are typically sometimes are wrong, but she has a lot of information in her head. But Azza acts like she's young, and then Hannah's like, everybody thought I was older than I am. I'm like, Hannah, you seem like a teenager to me. You just seem like a little know-it-all teenager. I mean, I love Hannah. Like, I like her darkness. I like her reads. Like, I think she's funny. Like, I like the fact that she hasn't gotten so emotionally involved in this game. So I like Hannah, but Hannah, you seem like a little sprightly little girl to me. But I mean, I've lived a long time, so I can like make these assessments of people. Anyhow, so that's what they were doing in the house, trying to figure out, what does Xavier do for a living? Is Xavier's really young? They even went to, like, he has this one line on his forehead. I was like, dang, they're like really dissecting Xavier. Like, they must really be bored. Who y'all should be dissecting is, I guess, Xavier, because y'all should be dissecting, why is he like everybody, like, why does he have everybody under his spell except for Tiffany? And that's what I did, like, earlier on in the evening. Tiffany was saying, they were like, that's what I forgot to say. They were analyzing Xavier from the HOH room, just watching his antics, because he was like pacing back and forth. They're like, oh my God, he's uncomfortable. I've never seen him uncomfortable. And Tiffany was like, I know. I'm shaking the camera. Tiffany was like, I know when he's thinking, because he started wobbling his legs, which he was doing, and he was mouthing something like he was talking to himself. He sits in it. They were like, he is very comfortable with sitting for hours by himself, not saying a word. And he's not used to me not talking. Like, he came in the room just to talk with Tiffany, and she said, I didn't say much. I just looked. And he said, I just want to see how you feeling. And he asked me that like 16 times. How are you feeling? I said, I'm fine. Then he said, I just want to check on you. I said very softly and warm, thank you. I appreciate that. Because I know he knows. He's coming for me, and I'm coming for him, and he knows that. And she said, I'm a lot like Claire. No, SB. We think alike. See, when SB was gunning for you, she honed in on you, and she recognized some things. And then when you kind of did something, she kind of took a little, she said something that was like, I would have taken it like, what you trying to say, I'm weak now, to Hannah. She's like, she did something. And so then her focus, I made sure her focus got off you. But I made sure her focus wasn't on me, because then she would have honed in on me, and then she would have been gunning for me. And that's what Xavier, I see everything about him, even when I wasn't paying attention. I noticed his legs wobble when he's thinking. Like, Tiffany, like, she's funny to me, because on one hand, I think she's playing an okay game. On the other hand, I think she's playing a crazy game. And then if I had another hand, she's playing, she loves a theory. And I think that's hilarious, because she loves a theory. Like, she's gonna come up with a plan, even if it's the worst plan. She's gonna come up with a plan, and that's why I give her credit. She has been coming up with plans the entire game. Xavier has been sitting there like entitled, like I'm the boss. Like, and then they fell for the spell, because I do believe in life. There are people, like Kylan said, who have unearned likability. And that's kind of Xavier. Like, people who kind of exude a certain confidence, who aren't necessarily the most talented, the most charismatic, but it's something about them that people gravitate to, and they fall for their spell. Like, it's always like, why are these people the popular people? What makes them special? When there can be the most basic person, but it's something about them that people gravitate to, and that's Xavier. And I think that's also why Kylan wants to keep him close. Kylan said to Sarah Beth, he has unearned likability. But what does that really mean? But I get it. Like, he's just, people like him. For what reason, I don't know. And people don't like me, and I'm the one that's talented. I'm the one that's doing all this stuff. But people like Xavier, because he exudes a confidence, a calmness. He seems like he's in control, so therefore he can control. He's controlled Big D, Azza. He's controlled Alyssa and Christian, and for a minute he was kind of controlling Sarah Beth. But I think that he couldn't control Tiffany, and that's why he was so mad this past week. Because she went rogue and she did her own thing, and he realizes, I can't control her, therefore she has to go. Because this is all for Xavier to win, versus like, how dare you want to win? I'm supposed to win. The black man is supposed to win, not the black woman. Why do you think you should win? Or not you. No one is supposed to win with me. And that's how you should feel about yourself. It's just when you're in a game, when you're watching a game, you decide, people determine who their favorites are. Some people go for the underdog. Some people go for the leader. Some people go for the mean person. Some people go for the sweet, innocent person. But people determine who they like. And I determined that I like Tiffany because she's always scheming. And I don't like Xavier because of his entitlement. Now, I think Xavier will win this game if he gets past this week, which he will. I feel like it's been set up for him to win. And he's a little unnerved because things haven't been going exactly the way he thought it should be. Because Xavier thought he wasn't going to go on the block once this season, but he's now been on the block 3. I think this is his 4th time on the block. So he's uneasy, but he knows it's in his favor. So I don't know what the posturing is about. Anyhow, let me know your thoughts. Are you nervous about tonight? Because I am. I'm going to do everything not to think about it, but I've been thinking about it for the last 15 minutes. So I'll see you back, and maybe when we come back, we'll know who won or lost the double eviction. Let's send a collective energy out there for Tiffany, and for the people who hate Tiffany, you can get off my page now, and I don't need your feedback. But if you want to, for the engagement, yeah, write a comment. I'm gonna like and love it anyhow, because that's what you do in these YouTube streets. All right, bye.